Today on Morning Drive, Kevin Sutherland won the final event of the PGA Tour Champions season to take home the Charles Schwab Cup, leaving Bernhard Langer empty-handed despite 7 victories this season. What can be done to tweak the format for the Charles Schwab Cup playoffs?
And that's what it is at the moment. It was never meant to be fair.
And Patton Kizzire prevailed for a breakthrough victory on the PGA Tour in Mexico by outdueling world number 7, Ricky Fowler. Was this Sunday more about Kizzire's win or a troubling trend for Fowler? Sports psychologist Dr. Gio Valiente will weigh in. Plus, it's playing under pressure month, so Michael Breed is live and ready to help you work on your putting stroke and start making more putts in crunch time. It's all ahead on this Monday, November 13th, 2017. And a very good Monday morning. Studio AP is the home of Morning Drive. Thanks for starting your day with us. Gary Wims, Cara Banks, how are you?
Yeah, good. The day and indeed the week with us. We're rolling into really what is not the last event, of course, because we're in a new PGA Tour season, but we're winding down. This week we'll see the RSM Classic, and it's the last week before a little bit of a break going into Thanksgiving.
Yeah, and then the last event, obviously, on the European Tour, LPGA as well. And of course, PGA Tour champions put a bow on it yesterday.
Yeah, we're going to get to that. And you're right, season finales on 2 of the courses. But let's get to what is happening on this Monday morning. And Patton Kizzire held off a dramatic challenge from Ricky Fowler to post his first victory on the PGA Tour at the OHL Classic. The Sea Island resident, who previously won twice on the Web.com Tour in 2015, held at least a share of the lead after each round and produced a bogey-free 67 in the final round to win by 1 stroke.
What else is happening now? Kevin Sutherland, he was absent of a win heading into the playoffs. The playoff series, which consisted of 3 events, but he won the final event. He was 5th, so he knew if he did that, nothing else would matter, and he would win the Charles Schwab Cup. That's going to require a discussion, I would imagine.
Yeah, we will get to it. Meanwhile, after recording her 9th LPGA Tour victory and 3rd of the season at last week's Blue Bay LPGA, Shan Shanfeng has risen to number 1 in the Rolex rankings, becoming the first ever Chinese player, male or female, to get to world number 1. And the win has also moved her up to 3rd in the race to the CME Globe, entering this week's season-ending event in Naples, Florida. A lot going on, Gary.
There is a lot going on. Before we get to all of that on this Monday, say good morning to Lauren Thompson. Hey,
good
LT.
morning. Yes. Glad to be in Studio AP and glad to be bringing our viewers a little bit of humor today and something to maybe be a little bit jealous about. If you check this out, Joshua Kelly from Hole-in-One Trick Shots. Now, you probably heard of taking 2 off the tee, but if you watch that ball flight, he hits a draw and a fade in the same shot. Gary, you've got this 1-2 punch in the bag, don't you?
No, I got nothing. I can't do trick shots. But Travis, as an instructor, technically speaking, to make 2 different moves in the same motion, so to speak, and recoil to hit a draw and a fade, strong.
It's incredible. And by the way, that's not in the manual. That's not in the instructed manual, and yet you're showing your students. That is incredible stuff. These trick shots, I love them, but that one right there, 2 balls in the air, 1 moves left to right, 1 moves right to left. That's incredible hand-eye coordination.
No doubt.
Yeah, not just a good golf swing, but a good juggling act as well. Wow, they never fail to impress us, these trick shots, do they? Nice to have Travis Fulton with us in the studio this morning. So Mayakoba marked the 3rd time that Patton Kizzire led or co-led after 54 holes on the PGA Tour, but this time he was able to get it done, becoming a winner on the PGA Tour in his 63rd start. So let's show you the highlights from yesterday, and we will start with Ricky Fowler, who was actually 1 under through 4 holes to start his final round, taking this driver on the tee at the par 5 5th hole, and you can see him keeping a close eye on it because this didn't end up where he wanted it to be. That would be left and in the water. He would also hit his 3rd shot in the water after a drop and bogey the 5th, Gary, to fall to 14 under.
It's actually a miraculous bogey. Let's get to Patton Kizzire on the 11th, 109. And you got soft greens, and that looked like it was going to go in. He would tap it in. That would get him card a 19 under.
How did that stay out? Let's move ahead to the 13th hole. Another par 5, and this time it would be Keziah with a little bit of trouble off the tee, also heading to the left-hand side. And you could see as soon as he made contact, he knew that was heading into the woods. He would manage, though, to get up and down and make a miraculous par save to maintain the lead at 19 under.
Did Ricky have something at the end of this round to put pressure on Keziah, putting for birdie here on 16 and pulled it right in? So he gets to 17 under par. Now he's just 2 back with 2 to go.
Yet needing to birdie, as you say, those last 3 to tie Patton Keziah, he would have another opportunity here at 17. Birdie attempt and takes the club back and through, and never in doubt, walks it in, sinks it, trying to win in front of his grandparents for the very first time in his career. He's now only 1 back, entering 18.
Yeah, 1 back, and had a big advantage yardage-wise for his second, but was outside of Patton Keziah, so was left with this very lengthy birdie putt for a chance to possibly force a playoff lift at about 1.5 feet short.
Yeah, you can see the disappointment on his face. It would leave Patton Keziah with this putt, just a matter of inches really, to secure his first win on the PGA Tour at the OHL Mayakoba Classic. Ricky Fowler there to congratulate the 31-year-old from Sea Island as he lifts the trophy, having conquered the Chameleon course. Now the Players Champion, meanwhile, Siwoo Kim, finished alone in 3rd, and Charles Howell, worth noting, the 3rd, produced back-to-back weekend rounds of 66 to finish in a tie for 4th alongside Martin Piller, who had a career best finish at Mayakoba. And it was a 3rd straight 67 for Ricky Fowler after opening with a 65 on Thursday that left him 1 back. So Travis, do you feel like yesterday was more about Patton Keziah getting it done, or Ricky not quite managing to match him?
Well, I think it was more about Patton Keziah. And you look at him, you know, last year, 28 events, 3 top 10s. This year, 4 events. He's already got 3 top 10s and a win. So this young man is moving in the right direction. And what really stands out for me thus far, not only the win, but you look at the 3 final rounds now on Sunday, 68, 64, and 67. He's clearly starting to get comfortable now out there on the PGA Tour. And he alluded to that he's put himself in difficult situations, and he's comfortable with that, and he's embracing that. And I think the difference, Gary, when you look at his game this year, it's really in the iron game. Patton's a big guy, 6'5", but he's not going to overpower a golf course. He's just under 300 yards off the tee. So he needs to be efficient with his iron, and he needs to putt well, and he's clearly doing those 2 things very well here in 2018.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. I do agree with you. I think it's more about Keziah. I know we're going to have Dr. Gio on to talk about Ricky Fowler and some of the things that have transpired on Sundays. He shot 67, but you've already pointed out that Patton Keziah either co-led or led this tournament from day one. That's wildly impressive to do that in your first victory. And he's playing with the headliner in the tournament, in the final group, and he outlasted the guy.
Yeah, he seems very mature, I have to say. He seems to have a very wise head on young shoulders in terms of PGA Tour experience. At least he looked like a seasoned veteran at times yesterday, and there he is trying to secure his first win. He's a proven player on the Web.com Tour. He's taken a little bit of time, really just a couple of seasons, to find his feet on the PGA Tour, and it was very impressive, I think, more impressive to see him secure that first win, because we know how hard it is to get number 1. Then Ricky Fowler, who, as you say, he had a 65 and 3 67s. It's not like he didn't play well. And let's not forget, Travis, this was Ricky kind of coming out of his off season, as it were. He didn't play any of the Asian swing. He went down to Mexico on the Saturday, didn't touch a club till the Tuesday afternoon. The fact that he could get into game mode this quickly, I think, was quite impressive.
Yeah, I think it's impressive as well. I mean, there's taking nothing away from Ricky Fowler. Did obviously a very impressive Sunday. Kind of labored around a little bit, put together nice 16 and 17 there to make it interesting down the stretch. But make no mistake, this was about Patton Keziah, the maturity and the growth that he's had since coming onto the tour. And it'll be interesting to see in a game that's, you know, very much dominated by the distance off the tee. That's not his game. You know, he's got to be efficient with his irons, and he's got to be very good with his putter, and see if he can maintain that now as we get into the bulk of the season next year.
Well, PGA Tour champions, they wrapped up their season yesterday at the Charles Schwab Cup Championship, and Bernhard Langer had won the first 2 events, and it appeared that if he just had a really solid week, that he would secure his 4th straight. So let's start with him. Came in 3 under par, well back of the leaders. Here's his 3rd on the 18th. It's a wonderful third shot. He would shoot 64. Would it be good enough that you knew that he was going to try his best to go as deep as he could, Cara?
Well, he was 7 under through his first 11 holes yesterday. He certainly was trying, but this was the man he'd have to watch. Kevin Sutherland entered the week 5th in the standings. He would win the tournament if he won the cup, and that was an eagle at 7.
Yeah, Langer was a Lee Janzen fan, because if he won the tournament, Langer would have won the cup. Putting for birdie on the 9th, he makes it, retakes the lead at 15 under par.
So Sutherland is now tied with Lee Janzen. This is a birdie opportunity for him at the par 4 16th. As I said, really needing to win the tournament to secure not only his first win of the season, but that Charles Schwab Cup.
Now, I love this angle, straight down the line, 200 yards, 18th hole. He's still up by 1, and this is going left. Way left.
Yeah, he would need to take some kind of a relief from there, but he actually got a very fortunate outcome, because his drop was at a point to the right-hand side where he wouldn't actually have to deal with the bunker for his pitch shot onto the green, so he would be able, Gary, to get it within distance.
Yeah, he pitches to 9 feet. He has his birdie putt to win it all, misses it on the left edge, taps in for par. He's your clubhouse leader at 15 under.
Yeah, you can see his disappointment at not being able to hold that birdie putt, but Lee Janzen back on the 18th fairway still has a chance to tie the lead, but he would have to hole out this third shot at the par 5 18th, and if he was able to tie, Langer would still have had a chance to win the Charles Schwab Cup, but that did not go in. So Sutherland managed to secure his first ever win on the PGA Tour Champions as he captured the season-long race.
Kind of a big one to make your first. And he wins by 1 over Vijay Singh and Lee Janzen. Vijay, final round of 63. And Bernhard Langer finished in 12th, final round of 64. He sat with our Rich Lerner and discussed his thoughts on the playoff format.
We're comfortable because we voted for that, and that's what it is at the moment. You know, it was never meant to be fair. It was meant to be playoffs. Everybody in the field was given a chance to win. Is it fair? No, it's not, but that's how it is right now, and we might revisit in the future.
Don't you think it makes sense to enact a rule whereby someone will have to have won at least one tournament to be eligible to win the Schwab Cup bonus?
Well, that could be one of the rules we might change into in the future, but then that could bring other problems into the scenario as well. So it's not easy. But I think we might have to revisit in the future and just see if we can tweak it slightly, like they've tweaked the FedEx Cup points various times, and we might have to do the same here.
All right, we take a look at the comparison. One less event for Bernhard Langer, but that bushel full of wins, 7 wins. Sutherland actually had more runner-up finishes, and Langer had just 1 more top 10. Kevin Sutherland was 5th going into the final event for a reason. He had a wildly productive year, but he didn't win a golf tournament in the regular season. How does this sit with you?
Well, you know, I struggle with the term playoffs when it comes to golf, because to me, playoff is suggesting winning and losing, and that's how we know it in America and other sports, right? You get to the playoff, you win, you move on, you lose, you go home. So that's not how it is in golf. So it's a tough one for me. So we have to get into now this accumulation of points, right? And points have value, and it matters throughout this. It's a season-long Schwab Cup. So with that said, we're here at the end now, and we're left with this accumulation of points. The value of that is greater for Kevin Sutherland here with 1 win at the end than it is actually winning golf tournaments, which is what playoffs suggest. Bernhard Langer not only won 7 times, 3 major championships, but keep in mind, we get to the playoffs and he wins the first 2 playoffs. So it wasn't like he got to the playoffs and struggled. He wins the first 2, and Sutherland tied 47th in the first, tied 27th in the second. So you could argue that he should have been eliminated in the first place in the playoffs. I just struggle with the term, and I think the value and the accumulation of points just doesn't add up for me at the end.
I'm starting to get my head around it a bit, actually. I feel like the season-long race builds up until the start of the playoffs, and then it's almost like you turn a page. And certainly going into the Charles Schwab Cup Championship, the points are at least reset then. There is no doubt Bernhard Langer is the PGA Tour Champions Player of the Year. He's also won the official money list for the 6th straight year. He has been awarded or will be honored for what he has achieved this year. The fact that Kevin Sutherland won yesterday, I think, helps his
Puts an
cause
elixir on it.
in this debate a little bit, because if he'd won the season-long race with really no wins all season, that might have been a little bit harder to get your head around. Right. The fact that he won the event yesterday means he does have a win on his season, and not only that, but the fact that he played the best this week, and this is what it comes down to. The Tour Championship, someone who comes in 30th could win the FedEx Cup if they win the Tour Championship.
Right.
And it kept us watching until the very end yesterday, and that's the whole point.
Yeah, it is. And, you know, Bernard Langer at the beginning said, we know what the system is. So I can't sit here and digest terms like fair and unfair. Imperfect, I accept it. It's imperfect. I think there's irony in this as well. This nation is consumed by the term playoffs with all these other sports, and it's hard to be analogous specifically with other sports, but what I find funny is that all these other sports are no longer using the term playoffs. They're saying just get in the tournament, which is a golf term. They say it about football, get in the tournament. It's funny.
That's a good point,
Anyway.
It's just playoffs is a tough word to kind of wrap your mind around, I think, as it pertains to golf.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we knew this yesterday, but when you've got one of the best instructors in the game, Shan Feng wins again, her 3rd win of the season. She is officially #1 in the Rolex rankings. That's historic. With that short putt, she went on and won by 1 shot over Mariah Jatanagarn. And for Shan Feng, she is going to go to Naples as the first Chinese male or female to be numero uno, Travis.
Yep, there she is right there, Shan Feng. A great story. She actually was recruited by Gary Gilchrist at the age of 17, turned pro at 18, and they've been together throughout that. You see so many changes, of course, with professional golf, but not with Shan. She has the same exact team, and now here she is as the new #1 player in the world. She's an excellent ball striker. She doesn't hit it very long off the tee, but she's very accurate, hitting fairways and greens. And I want to show you a couple things that makes her very accurate. So here we go. Here's her setup position, and we're going to take this back here about halfway and watch the club here. She stacks it up pretty vertically. You see a lot of clubs where the shaft is a little bit more in a laid off position per se. This is more vertical. I'm going to draw a line here, and you're going to see the club pointing to the inside of the target line. So she stands it up pretty early. Now she goes to the top of the swing. Watch this. She's going to shallow it out. And I talk about this a lot, right? You can see the club here. We're going to draw another line in, and that she shallows it out. And this is a key move for her, because when she struggles, that club coming down is too close to the red line, and when she plays well, she's shallowing it out closer to the yellow line. Now, from here, we're going to split the screen. This shallowing out is a key move early in the downswing, but what I really like about how she supports that with her body is this. Here we go. We're going to put a box around her head, and we're going to take it to the top of the swing. And as she goes to the top, it's a conservative backswing. She doesn't wind up, again, not overly long off the tee, but look at this, the same spot coming down. Look at her head. There's no backup in that. She didn't increase the side bend to the right. So she shallowed it out, but yet her orientation to the ball, she's still very centered. I think those are two moves that go together that really positions her now as she swings down to impact. She can turn and match up her arm swing and her pivot through the impact zone very well. So she can go ahead and swing it through here. And this swing here hits a lot of fairways, about 80%. That's a ton of fairways off the tee, and about 76% greens in regulation. This is a move that I work on with a lot of players, LT. Shallow it out, but stay centered so you can really match things up through impact. Over to you.
And it is a good move. We're going to see that swing later this week at Tiburon Golf Club. But coming up today on Morning Drive, it does mark the final stop of the LPGA Tour season, where the race to the CME Globe culminates. Ariya Jutanagarn defends, and Lydia Ko is going to try and capture it for the 3rd time. So we're going to welcome in LPGA insider Ron Sirek to catch you up on the top contenders. He also has thoughts on Shan Feng and how she's going to feel in that top spot. Then we're going to get back to Mexico, and yesterday, where Patton Kizzire was putting on a putting show that led to Ricky Fowler's runner-up finish. This month on Golf Channel, it's dedicated to playing under pressure. So Michael Breed from the Golf Fix is going to give you his best lesson on finding the bottom of the cup when the heat is on. Plus, we're going to give you a much-needed dose of Monday humor. We've all been there, right? And with the latest viral brilliance from the European Tour, some of the circuit's best dishing out the worst golf advice and the fans that took the bait. So would you have fallen for it? See what we mean, because this is some bad coaching and some of it backfired. So Morning Drive just getting started on this Monday edition of the show. You guys have received some bad golf tips, right?
I don't take
We all have.
I don't take tips.
I only take the
You don't
best.
take tips. You're on your own. One-man show.
Don't want to hear anything from anyone.
Even from Travis.
Playoffs.